cu atât mai puțin la un eveniment dedicat piețelor de capital. Într-adevăr, pentru următoarele 10-15 minute o să vorbim în limba engleză. In my teenage, more sporty, active years, he was my absolute idol. I mean, I was just hooked by his persona. I followed him almost from his very beginnings when he started winning local contests in Birmingham in the mid-80s, right up to his peak career. And boy, it was an extraordinary career, including 1992, when he won his first Mr. Olympia. And I vividly remember each and every one of those finals. For example, in 1996, when he would beat Sean Ray and Kevin Levrone, and Flex Wheeler, and even giant Ronnie Coleman in style. And then 1997, when he entered the competition and managed to win his 6th consecutive Mr. Olympia title with a torn left triceps. I always admired his passion, extreme dedication, seriousness, capacity to concentrate, and his very different system of training. I mean, he was 100% different from anybody I knew at the time. So it goes without much saying, it's such an honor, an extreme pleasure, and still a big shock to me to be meeting him in person this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dorian Yates, 6 times Mr. Olympia. We thank you. Wow.
This is a different crowd for me.
Yeah.
What was the answer? Dogecoin or Bitcoin? We don't know.
Both, a couple of years ago. Dorian, welcome for being at our event.
Thank you.
You're British, you currently live in Spain. In Romania, you also come as a businessman. In 2017, you founded this company, which is called DY Nutrition Global. It specializes in best quality nutritional supplements. It's actually a Romanian company, although it sells all over the world. So first off, Dorian, how do you find Romania and Bucharest in particular?
You know, I've been coming here since we formed the company in 2017, and since then we've had many people coming over to visit from UK, business partners and manufacturers and so on. And down to a person, they all say the same thing. Wow, this is much different to how I thought it was going to be. Because I think coming from UK, and we think Romania, Poland is a bit east and it's probably a bit backwards and so on. But Bucharest is an amazing city. And I think countries like this, like Romania and Poland, they're growing, they're getting stronger, and this is the future. And everybody that came over was like, wow, and they're very impressed. It's actually a beautiful city. I like the way it's laid out, and lots of trees down the boulevards and nice parks and everything. So mostly I've been in Bucharest, but I've been to Brasov, Cluj, Subil, where we're having our new facility, which I'm very excited about. And we're going to be expanding from the base of bodybuilding and sports nutrition. Now we're going into more, which is actually more interesting for me now, is what we're calling life optimization. So some people say anti-aging and wellness, and you know, it's a bit silly term really, anti-aging, because we're going to age, but it's about aging with the best quality of life and having the quality of life longer, and this is definitely possible, combining exercise with nutrition and certain supplements, and we're getting more and more research coming out on that. So that's the future for the company. And what I learned from competitive bodybuilding, a version of that applies to everybody. And we have a new phrase you might hear in the future, sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is loss of muscle mass as you're aging after 35, 40 years old, you're losing around 1% of your muscle mass every year. And this has very negative consequences, which can be reversed. For instance, if you have your muscle mass, you're 50 years old, let's say, you get your muscle mass back to when you were 25. It's not very difficult if you do things correctly. That's kind of a massive effect on your health going forward. As you lose muscle mass, for instance, you lose receptors for the insulin, for the sugar and so on. So your blood sugar starts going up and, pretty soon maybe you're going into diabetic territory. So a lot of things like that can be delayed or even actually reversed. And this is what fascinates me now, how I can help people with my knowledge to have a much better quality of life. It's sometimes very frustrating for me to see people in the gym, they're doing everything wrong, they're not eating properly. And I've worked with a variety of people online, in person, from the age of 50 up into mid-70s, and seeing massive changes. Even in, blood test results, within a month, everything's changing. So that's my passion now. When I was younger, competitive bodybuilding was my passion. Of course, I still have an interest in it, but my passion has gone elsewhere as I've got older, and I'm researching how can I have a better quality of life as I'm aging. So that's where I'm at now, and that's what the company is going to reflect in the future.
Yeah, let's turn a bit to that passion. You got nicknamed the Shadow, but also the Game Changer because you literally changed everything in the sport. I wonder, how do you see the post-Dorian Yates era in bodybuilding and in fitness movement in general?
Myself? Well, bodybuilding was my passion. It was something I was good at, something I was very fascinated about. And then that passion changed into a career, a professional career at some point. And then after my career, it took me some time to kind of transition. And this is the difficult thing for people, especially if they're very good at something. And I'm known, Dorian Yates, Mr. Olympia. It becomes almost an identity. But I realized the kind of training that I was doing that when I was younger to build maximum muscle and competitive bodybuilding was maybe not the ideal kind of training as I progressed and I got older. Not that I left the weight training totally behind, but I started to do other stuff, working on the mobility and flexibility and things like that I hadn't worked on, and I could really increase and optimize, and those kind of things would be more useful for me as I get older. I want to be able to, I like to go hiking up the mountains, I like to ride bike, and I like to continue to do that as I get older. So I combine a little bit of weight training with flexibility and mobility training, a little cardio training. So I do a mix of everything now because it's what I need. But I think I'm probably the only person from my sport that did that made that transition. Everybody just keeps on doing what they used to do, and as I said, it becomes almost your identity. So they don't want to change. It's very difficult. But life is a journey, and it has to change, and it should change, and you should evolve, and you should have a different perspective as you're going through life, I think.
Yeah, and I want to explore that a little bit more. You had it on this sport. I mean, 90s were clearly all yours. I want to find out what is driving you these days. You're still going to the gym, I get that, but you're such an avid presence in social media. You've got millions of followers across your social media accounts. You go to major events on a global scale, including this one. And at the end of the day, you're still strongly influencing people of my age, almost 50, as well as the younger generation. So what is driving you? What motivates you these days?
Well, personal motivation is just to have a great quality of life. And then, as I said, when I was younger and you're driven, I mean, it's all about you, especially bodybuilding. It's so individual, and it's your training, and it's your diet, and it's your body, and it's a very can be very lonely as well, and the whole endeavor might seem to be quite selfish. And as I've got older, I'm thinking not just about myself. It's like, how can I have a positive effect on the world around me and the people around me by being myself, by saying what I think. I think people appreciate that I'm always as honest as I can be. And yeah, to be a positive force in the world, not just a bodybuilder that people, oh, that's great, he looks great, he's got big muscles, but to help people become a better version of themselves and to make them feel that they can do that, because everything is starting in the mind, and none of us are really doing much more than scratching our potential. So it's to help, inform, inspire people. I know you're all investors, but I think it's important, number one, to invest in yourself, in your physical and mental health, and everything you do will be more efficient. So let's say you're a busy businessman, investor, whatever you're doing. If you were physically fitter by investing 2 hours a week, even in 1.5 hours a week, 2 45-minute workouts, will make a tremendous difference to your body and your mind. And from those couple of hours and from eating properly, you'll just be a more efficient, effective person. You'll have more energy, you'll have more focus. You will feel happier, and the people around you will feel happier. So I think the best investment you can do is that, because material things, it's great, you know, but it's not as valuable as your health. If you was a multi-billionaire, but you were really sick, you wouldn't give a toss about that money you've got. You know, you're not enjoying life. It's not good. So that's the message I'm trying to say. And it's not difficult. You just need to know, you know, correct information and on training and diet and so on. So that's where I'm at, and I want to spread that information out to people and help them have a better quality of life. That's really my role now as a professional.
About that, Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all times, once said that our bodies and minds really are our greatest assets. And you once said success in bodybuilding comes from imposing the right amount of stress upon one's body and then helping to efficiently recover from that stress. Well, a few decades back, even a few years ago, going to the gym was the single most stressful thing one could do upon his or her body. But nowadays, it's everyday life. I mean, especially after the pandemics, it's going to work 24/7, for instance, is for some of us. It's caring for our kids. It's being stuck in the freaking traffic out there. So what do you think is the potential of nutritional supplements to be passing the boundaries of them strictly being used in the gym to a more widespread use for tens or even hundreds of millions of people across the world?
Okay, I agree with Warren Buffett, but you do know he eats Egg McMuffin every day for breakfast, right? So he probably needs a little bit of help with his body, you know. Sorry, what was that after the Warren Buffett bit? I lost the track there a little bit. So, I was just finding that amusing, sorry.
How do you see the potential for nutritional supplements to go from...
So you've got a negative stress, perhaps, from being stuck in the traffic or children or work or whatever. But ultimately this is going to happen to us. All these things can happen, or may happen, or will happen at some point. I think is more relevant is how do you handle that stress? By how do you look at it mentally? How do you look at the situation? Are you going to be in the traffic and tearing your hair out? Or you're like, listen, I'm in the traffic, it's inevitable. Let me put some music on and what can I do while I'm stuck here? You know, it's a different attitude. And then you have the stress from the gym, but it's a stress that's going to make you stronger and more efficient. To handle, you know, daily stresses and so on. If you're in a better place physically and mentally, and you're more calm and less stressed and less anxious because your whole metabolism, your brain, everything is functioning better, you're going to look at this traffic jam and smile. It's funny, it doesn't affect me. So stress is inevitable, you can't avoid it. We're going to have problems, we're going to lose people we love. Maybe we're going to get sick, we get stuck in the traffic, or we lose money. This is life, it's going to happen. So the question is, how are you going to handle it? And are you strong and fit and mentally resilient where this stress just going to bounce off me, man, no problem. So it's not like trying to stop all these stressful things happening. Yeah, do your best, but it's going to happen to some extent. So how are you going to handle it if you're physically and mentally strong and you have some degree of control on your thoughts? And bit off subject, but I find meditation is like amazing for that, and it's almost like gives you control over your thoughts. So we all have negative thoughts, but I tell you, like when I was young, I used to do the security on the nightclub or a wine bar or something for a couple of years when I was young, before I started being a professional bodybuilder. And there was older guys, they teach me how to do this job. So they're like, listen, if you see some guys coming and you think they're going to be a problem inside the place, you stop them at the door. No, you're not coming in. If you're going to have a problem, confrontation, better to have it here than in the bar where it's full of glasses and people and everything. So it's the same thing with your negative thoughts. They start, I see you. No, thanks. And meditations help me a lot with that, to recognize those thoughts before they're putting the roots and getting in your mind and giving you anxiety. And in a way, being in the gym, if you're doing it correctly, please don't take your phone in the gym. It's an umbilical cord to the rest of the world and your life. Put it away. Go in the gym. Push, you're feeling the muscles contracting, you feel the muscles stretching, you're breathing. You're in there, everything else disappears. At least for the time you're in the gym, you're giving your mind a rest, because meditation is just focus on something to everything else disappears. So you can do it in the gym as well. I used to do that when I went to the gym. If you were in the gym, I wouldn't know. I would be just in a bubble in my world. And that's giving your mind a break from, how's my shares going, or whatever you're thinking, I don't know, So this gives you a break from the stress. How to handle the stress. Not can I eliminate it from my life, because you won't be able to. So it's to be resilient, to handle it, I think. That's the answer. And Warren Buffett needs to change his breakfast if he wants to talk about having a healthy body.
We'll send him a note.
Tell him I said, listen, come talk to me if he wants to.
Dorian, thank you very much for this interview. Thank you for being
Thanks
with
for everybody
us
for listening. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Aici punem punct doar primei părți a acestei stări, revenind după aproximativ 30 de minute cu partea a doua, sperând să fie cel puțin la fel de interesantă și dinamică precum prima. Pentru 30 de minute o să putem schimba niște idei la o distanță mult mai apropiată unii de ceilalți, dar de asemenea să și servim niște gustări excelente pe care le văd deja în capătul celorlalte al stării. Poftă bună!